Hello and welcome to another wrap-up video. This is just a book recommendation video where I'm going to be sharing the best 6 books I read this month so that you can have an equally good time. Here's a shout out to Bargain Book Hut because I got a lot of my recent books from there and I got them at such amazing discounts and cheap prices. It was a steal because I ordered so many latest books, bestsellers, and I pre-ordered some books and got them at a 55% discount. I recently heard that Bargain Book Hut is spread across 6 different cities and I'm not a part of any of them. So finding the online store was a real treat for me. So do check them out and let's get into the book reviews. So the first book I read this month was Tijaras Mystery Codes by Hemma Sood, and this was a great start to my month because it was suspenseful. It had a murder mystery but also a dose of mythology in it. I am a huge sucker for mythology and just reading this gave me such nostalgic vibes because the Tijara fort in this is mentioned in such crystal clear detail. Furthermore, the author has mentioned a deep murder mystery which is revealed in such twisty, turny parts throughout the book, and I totally enjoyed, and the chapters are pretty short as well, which alternates between 3 different timelines. Rao Raja Balwant Singh, the latest one with the Maharaja where an elixir Amrita is being concocted, as well as the old Mahabharata saga. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely pick it up. The next book I read this month was You Can Compound by Vivek Mashrani. See, I am not the most financially literate person I know, and I am the sort of person who sat in the last bench and slept during maths class. So the thing is, we are taught in school how important it is to make money and how to calculate what you're making, but we are not taught what passive income means or how to compound what we have. And even if we are, it's taught in such boring maths formulas and I just can't. So this book was an eye-opener for me because there are so many mnemonic terms used such as tree and machine, and it just makes it so easy to learn. And it taught me a lot of terms like how to become financially free, like getting financial freedom, as well as how to gain a passive income and when to invest in stocks. So this was really an eye-opener for me and it made me a lot more financially literate because now it does have a few formulas in it and a lot of diagrams like this. And the author has spoken a lot about his personal experiences as well. And it has a lot of photos, and by the end there were a lot of pages for me to add like notes of my own. I haven't really used it, but just saying. So this was one of the most insightful books I've read. Sticking to the non-fiction genre, I read something called The Middle this month, and this was also quite interesting for me because I'm not a huge fan of non-fiction or autobiographies for that matter. Like, why should I read someone preaching about their life? But this was not at all like that. See, the cover itself has so many photos in black and white. I'm getting nostalgic vibes. Look how beautiful this is. So this is a collection of articles which the author had published in various different publications which chronicles her life. And it was so quick to read because the chapters are short and such glossy papers, and it has so many photos throughout the book, and it was a breeze to just read through. So it's humorous, it's comical, it talks about culture, tradition, travel, everything I love while also packing a punch and being sarcastic. And there were a lot of scenes where I was just relating to it like, hey, I do that sometimes, I behave like that sometimes. And it was just such an eye-opener to see everything brought together while retaining the humor, impact and everything all together. So the next 3 books I read, I don't really have physical copies of. I read them on my Kindle. So the first was Sherlock and Devdas by Manav Vigg. This book, I can't even tell you, man, because I am a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. I have a lot of books back there which are Agatha Christie, Sherlock Holmes, and I'm not much of a Devdas girl. I'm not a very sad, sentimental person, but then I've heard his stories and I'm quite intrigued by it. I really like this book because both these contrasting characters come together and they just together solve the core of the story, which is a murder mystery. It was so nice how both of their quirks came together. Like, there was a point where Sherlock said elementary Devdas, elementary, and just these references to the actual Sherlock Holmes, and it was just a treat to read, and it ended at a cliffhanger along with a small intro to the next book. I am just waiting for him to give the next book, and if it's available on Bargain Book Hut, I will pre-order it for a good discount. The next book I read was Used to Look the Same by Farzana Doctor. Listen, I am okay. This is like the third time I'm saying it in this video, but I'm not really a poetry lover because I feel I can't resonate to it much. Because if it's a novel, you can see the character growth throughout the story and you can kind of connect with it and you can see how they have developed throughout the story. But that's not the case when it comes to poems because each one is just separate, and by the time you get used to it, it's already done. But this one was totally different because it talks about women, it talks about love, it talks about growing up and how as a woman there are so many sexual things that women go through throughout their life. Like there is even genital cutting, don't even get me started, and she has dealt with those sensitive topics so well. Like I connected to each story and resonated with everything she said. Like she was even talking about breakups where she was just seeing like after her breakup she was just going through everything in her house and she was like, okay, this is mine, this is yours, and you could keep your knives with you. And just reading through it, I could resonate with a lot of the poems and it was just a very impactful read. Like how within just 2 lines she has conveyed such an emotion across various different topics. And this is her first poetry collection I heard, and I just can't believe this is her debut. So sticking to Farzana Doctor, I was like, I need to read more by this author, and this is her poetry collection. I want to know what her stories are like. So I read All Inclusive by Farzana Doctor. This again was a treat for me because I love books where they involve various different characters, and this one I don't know how to say this without giving it away because it has a dual timeline in it, and both of them talk about, I'm not going to talk about anything in the book, okay? It's just about this woman, and she is just working at a hotel, and over there she has a lot of affairs with the guests who come there. She has threesomes and she just gets the consent of the guests there and she just has fun with them, let's just say. And then there's one time when somebody complains about her regarding it, and then she goes on a journey of self-discovery and kind of trails back to her ancestry line and figures out the dual timeline. Okay, I'm just going to stop there because I don't want to spoil you about anything. Just read the book and you'll know what I'm talking about. So those are some of the best books I read this month. And there you have it. These are 6 of the best books I read this month, and I think you should totally check them out too. Speaking of checking out, check out Bargain Book Hut as well, along with scores of other thrillers, horrors, romance, non-fiction, coffee table books, everything at discounted prices and 55% off for pre-ordered books. Do check them out and do let us know if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them in the comments below. Stay tuned for our next review and thanks for watching.